Namaskar. Welcome to Conversations with Rakesh. Today's topic is on a word that I think we have not understood properly. And I observed this in not just a recent discussion and a lecture that I was giving with professionals. I've seen it in normal conversations at home, with friends, with society, in classrooms, in corporate boardrooms, everywhere. And I'll explain the context to you. We were in a class, there were these professionals, there was a case we had given them, and they had to make certain decisions which impact the group accordingly. And there was one person who was explaining a decision that he had taken, and somebody said that, hey, that decision is a bad decision because you are being selfish. And that's where the discussion suddenly moved to the word selfish, which is the focus of today's video. I think we have gone wrong on this word, and it's not our fault. This word is taught for centuries as a negative word. It is the root cause of all vices. It is bad. If you look at popular narratives and stories, the person who is projected as this selfish person is projected as a bad villain. Even famous books which talk about great people, these people are shown to be people who are altruistic, who take care of others, but people who take care of themselves, very self-centered, very selfish, bad. And that makes us all get confused and we believe that the word selfish is bad. But I am requesting you that I think this word is misunderstood. It is normal to be selfish. But let me not get ahead of myself. Let me first spend some time on why we teach that selfishness is bad and why we should change that narrative and teach it in a proper way so that we understand the word and then deal with it and help ourselves become better. Now, here is what I realize about the word. I also feel that it is a negative word. Like I won't put on my LinkedIn and in my resume that I'm selfish, right? I mean, it's like a gali, yaar. You're selfish. I've heard this in arguments at airports and sometimes in social media that you selfish person. It's a gali. We tell somebody you're a bad person because you're selfish. But that's the misinterpretation of this word. It comes from our teachings, parenting, schools which give us moral science lectures that you should always do good for others. If you have a bread and there is some people, break it into two, give it to them. It is nice. All that is great lesson. But let's focus here on the most important element of the word selfish. I think the most important element of the word selfish is self, me. There's nothing wrong in thinking about me, right? And we sometimes hesitate to even think about ourselves. So when we have a piece of bread, we feel that it's a crime to consume it because others will think that we are selfish. And that's where things go wrong. And we get confused because we think this word is very bad and we start sacrificing and we start giving up things that we deserve. And then we feel bad about it that I needed that bread, I'm hungry. But I had to give it with others because I had to tell others that I'm so giving and so caring and altruistic and not being branded as a selfish person. Being branded as a selfish person is so wrong. It was there in movies. In 1967, there was this famous movie of Manoj Kumar ji, where Manoj Kumar ji, it was called Upkar. Fascinating movie, earned a lot of praise in those days. And this was the India which was going through transition and had wars were happening and China war, Pakistan war. So the movie narratives were to tell the people that please help your country because your country needs you. So Manoj Kumar was this big brother who was giving, and his younger brother, played by Prem Chopra ji, is this epitome of selfishness. A person who loves to party, comes from America, wants to take over the property, and there is a character called Pran who plays the uncle, a crippled uncle, very practical man. And the movie is about how Manoj Kumarji, who his name is Bharat, gives away the property to his younger brother Puran Prem Chopra, and then there's a war, and Manoj Kumarji or Bharat just selflessly goes to the war because the country needs him. but Prem Chopra doesn't. So the movie shows Prem Chopra, Puran, as this very bad human being, profiteer. He does business and hoards grains, and his uncle does all kinds of things. And poor Pran is helpless, and Manoj Kumar is fighting the battle. But then in the end, all is well that ends well. But the narrative is selfishness is bad, profiteers, bad human beings. And look at this altruistic human being who is Manoj Kumar. That's what we should become. I'm sorry, this is wrong because we're not teaching the right concept. I think the correct concept, and let me step back. What we are teaching our students and children is selfishness is one end of the spectrum, bad, and altruism is the second end of the spectrum, which is good. But this is wrong because there's a third element of the spectrum, and that is narcissism, toxic narcissism. So the spectrum actually is narcissism, selfishness, and altruism. Being selfish is not bad. Being selfish is normal. All of us human beings are normally selfish. We came in this world with a selfish thought process. We want food, we want air, we want to live. It connects with survival. We have to be selfish to be able to survive in this bad world. Now you're teaching people selfishness is bad. They'll stop thinking about themselves, and that hurts them, their self-esteem. So let me take you towards the extreme end of selfishness, which is narcissism. That movie where Upkar, Prem Chopra, is shown as this bad person is a toxic narcissistic person. Self-absorbed, self-centered, doesn't care about others, wants everything and harms others. That is bad. But selfishness is okay. And that's what I want you to remember from this video. And if you take all kinds of examples, you take popular movies, even in movies like Three Idiots, the whole concept of the protagonist, Amir Khan, very altruistic, helping others. But Chatur was shown as a very selfish person. And there's a scene in that movie where Chatur, to come first in class, would leave pornographic magazines in everybody's room so that they don't study, and if they don't study they get less marks, and he comes first in class. And we teach this in competition, we teach this in schools where you have to come first. And entrepreneurship, imagine entrepreneurs being taught that no, you should not make money, you should share the wealth with everyone. And we feel that this is confusing, right? Because entrepreneurs want to win the market, that hey, I want to capture this market, it's business. Now you're going to confuse me with selfishness. And that's where their managerial decisions, leadership decisions get confusing. So my request to all of you is that while I want all of us to become altruistic, but I think we should also remember that being selfish is not bad. It comes from self. We should understand ourselves. We should appreciate ourselves. We should invest in ourselves. It is okay to feed ourselves. It is okay to have more, because when we have more, we can help others. Here are two data points on why it is important to take care of ourselves. Whenever we all go in a plane, there is one air hostess lady and there is an automatic, like a recording that in the event of cabin pressure drop, oxygen masks will come. It's not a very great time to be in an airplane at that time, but this is the law. They have to say it, and they say it with a smile. I find it very amusing. But there's a very interesting sentence that when the oxygen mask comes, first you have to put it on yourself. To me, that is the most selfish sentence ever in the history of mankind, because that confuses all of us. We teach our children that help others, but in the airplane, help yourself first. And the answer is very simple because that is the right thing to do. It is scientific that if you take care of yourself, put the mask on yourself, you will protect yourself first. And when you are protecting yourself and you have controlled yourself, you can help others. That is what selfishness is all about. One more example, Doordarshan days. This was, I think, a beautiful ad campaign for mothers. And the ad campaign showed that there is a young mother who is cooking food for her husband, her son, and she is also expecting a child. So the husband is going to the work, so she packs a pretty big deal of the food to him because he's the man. and he has to earn the food, so he needs the energy. So she gives a chunk of the food to him. Then the son comes. कि माँ बहुत भूख लग रही है. And the माँ, poor माँ, we have to showcase these things in such a nice way. She gives everything to the son and nothing for herself. And there is a voice of the commentator of the video कि बहन जी आपने अपने लिए क्यों नहीं कुछ बचाया. And that's where the dialogue कि नहीं सबको खिला के जो बचता है वही मेरा धर्म है. And this voice says that no, madam, this is wrong. You have a child in you. You have to be very selfish about your well-being and your child's well-being. Because if you don't feed yourself, if you don't nourish yourself, your child may have serious problems who's inside you. You're harming your child. That child may come out with some disabilities, both physical and mental. And the mother, that lady, her way of thinking changes. That is what I want you to remember. That while we should be altruistic, but please don't sacrifice yourself. Please be selfish. It is normal to be selfish. And I hope you don't become toxic narcissists because that is bad. And my only request to all of you is that what you need to learn is the spectrum starts from toxic narcissism, selfishness in the middle, and altruism is towards the end. And we human beings have the capacity to go both ways. Movies like Star Wars, the dark force can capture you. There's a good human being, but the dark force can take you away. And we hope you don't go towards the dark side of narcissism and toxic narcissism. I hope you come towards the altruism element. And human beings have the potential to go both ways. There's plenty of research where bad people can be good and good people can be bad. You remember the famous Heath Ledger Joker role in the movie called The Dark Knight. In that, there's a social experiment. It's called the Joker social experiment. Google it and you'll find it on YouTube, and there are articles written on it. And the social experiment was brilliant. There are two boats, ferries, and one of them has normal people going home. The second has convicts. And both boats have explosives. And both boards are given the detonator to blow each other apart. And the Joker says, let's see who does it first. Because if you don't do it, the other boat will do it for you. And if both of you don't do it, I'll blow both boats up. What a fascinating concept. But the movie moves on. And that's what the beauty is, that the Joker thought that, hey, human beings are very selfish. They will always protect themselves. But he was proved wrong in that movie. That even the convicts who have done horrible crimes may have altruistic tendencies. And the people who were the good people, not in jails, they had bad tendencies. But in the end, both of them hesitate and nobody blows anybody. That's what Batman is all about, that there is goodness in all of us. And Joker was proving that everybody is selfish and everybody will do bad things. But that's what humanity is. That's why teachers like me always believe that we human beings have the capacity to do the right things. With the right training, education, environment, we are capable to surprise ourselves. In the darkest of times, we can always do the best of things. And in the best of times, we are highly capable of doing the dumbest and the worst of things. But that's what humanity is. So here is my request to all of you on how you should learn to be selfish. First of all, tell yourself that it is normal to be selfish. That is very, very critical. Give yourself importance. Self is important. I need time. I need health. I need money. I need food. It is okay. Nothing wrong in it. Now comes the second thing, that this spectrum is very important for you to know, that if I just keep thinking about me, I might end up towards the narcissism side, the bad side. And that's where I'll harm people. So if you're harming people, that is bad because that is not the right thing to do. We should take care of ourselves and others. So please remember that there is a way of thinking. It's called the systems thinking. There are some very nice videos and books and concepts. A very good book which was written long ago was The Silent Spring. It was not really a book, it was research where Rachel Carson talked about how pesticides, while they're producing good crops, are harmful for the environment, are damaging species. And that is the systems thinking, that our actions can impact the world. We may have the money to buy a big car, but that big car will take away space on the road and it will harm someone. Think about that. That this is where your mind should start thinking. And this is where your ability to have a systems approach for thinking is very, very helpful. You might be an entrepreneur. You might want to put a big factory to produce, let's say, cosmetics, and then start thinking that, okay, these cosmetics will have some harmful chemicals. What do I do with them? So there's a process not to harm the environment and make the environment better. That is altruistic thinking. But if you only focus on creating the factory, maximizing revenue for yourself, I think that is almost being selfish to self-centered to being a toxic narcissist, that you're not thinking about the world. Somebody's paying price for your bad decisions. So that is step number 2, that please have a systems approach for your decisions. And it is okay to make a decision which benefits you, but please make sure it does not harm others. And if it is harming others, do something about it so that there is a general goodness in the environment. And the last is, please talk about this to others. It is okay if somebody says you're selfish, correct them. I think the word they have to use is you're being narcissist, a toxic narcissist. And you should say that, okay, I learn, but I'm selfish, I'm normal. So it is absolutely fine for us to change the narrative. Let's teach our children and our young managers and our professionals and entrepreneurs to understand the spectrum. Because if we start understanding the spectrum, we'll teach others the spectrum better. And we should tell ourselves that I am important, self is important. And if I can take care of myself, if I'm satisfied, I will help others better. But if I'm ignoring me, if I'm sacrificing myself, then I'll only be very perturbed and confused, because the world is not very simple, it is very complex. And when we see people doing selfish things or self-centered things and narcissistic things, we get hurt that, hey, your decision hurt me. And that's what we need to start working on so that all of us benefit in this game. Stay safe.